Madhuri ma'am said yes to the other role, and that's when they came up with the idea. I knew it. I knew they were going to throw this at me.
Now they say horror comedy makes money and all that, but it was there 17 years ago.
But he said, how did it go? I said, I fell on stage. 2024 Vidya Balan is younger, happier,
Lovely.
lighter here. I don't get offered films with
Another woman.
Yeah, other women. मुझे Madhuri Dixit बनना है. It's not about, being unloved. It's more about हर फिल्म की किस्मत होती है.
Do you know when you're shooting it that ये hit होगी या नहीं?
I find it very difficult to distinguish between feeling and hope.
One thing about the industry that still drives you absolutely crazy.
Just to fill me, just to fill me.
2007 is a very special year for me because it's the year that I got onto the radio. और उस दौर में, फिल्में जो रिलीज हो रही थी, I remember most often taking a name on the radio, and that was Vidya Balan. It was a crazy year for her because she had 6 releases if you count the special appearance in Om Shanti Om. Well, she's here today, 17 years later, reprising her role from one of the most famous roles from 2007, that is of Avni/Manjulika. Welcome to Just to Film.
Thank you.
What a year that was. I'm going to start off with 2007.
Yeah. When I heard you say that, I was like, yeah, I actually did 6 films in 1 year.
Yeah.
And from 2008, I began to do 1 film, at the max 2 films a year.
It was, I think, the excitement of us discovering you also. I remember that.
No, it was that. And of course, I was playing the female lead in most films. So I wasn't required to shoot that much. But Ishqiya onwards, I began to play the lead.
Yeah.
So I think that changed it for me, right?
Yes.
Because I was shooting pretty much every single day on every single film that I was doing. So that meant that I was doing lesser work. Also, it required more involvement. But yeah, that was a special year. I remember there was Guru, there was Salame Ishq, there was Halla Bol, there was
Hey Baby,
Hey Baby,
Eklavya,
Eklavya, wow, and Om Shanti Om.
and Om Shanti Om.
Yeah.
And that took me back to the OG Bhool Bhulaiyaa. I'll tell you the reason why I find that film very special, and I think why it stood the test of time. Because in its basic premise, it brought science and religion together on a very respectful platform.
Yeah.
And I think that was the reason why, because at that time I remember we'd never heard of a personality disorder. It was way ahead of its time, and you got to play that part.
Yeah, and it was a funny film.
Yes.
So it was very accessible. Yeah. So I think it was fantastic. Of course, there was an original film in Malayalam by the name Manichitratar that you're aware of. And I remember seeing it as a kid, I think on cable TV, if I'm not mistaken. And then when I got offered this by Priyan sir, I was like, wow. He said, have you watched it? I said, yes. He said, don't watch it again. I said, okay. He said, I want you to bring your unique take to it. He said, if you've not learned dance, then brush up your dancing skills. So I started Bharatnatyam classes in between shooting for these 6 films. So whenever I could, with Srimati Sharda Ganesh from Kala Sadan Dance Institute. So whenever, I would sneak in a bit of time to do Bharatnatyam. So that helped me in good stead for that song. But yeah, it was a crazy time. Suddenly memories flooding back. Thank you.
Yes, thank you so much. And I remember that film was so special. We never expected the genre as we know it today.
Yeah.
Now they say horror comedy makes money and all that, but it was there 17 years ago.
And you rightly said, that it was way ahead of its time, because even today we don't really have films like that. Today we are using the horror comedy genre to take Bhool Bhulaiyaa forward. Which is a more accessible genre for sure. It's no wonder that people love the original, a great deal, which is why it's lasted, the love for it has lasted 17 years and has therefore spawned a 2 and a 3.
And here you are, reprising the same role, the same character. And I want to ask you, there are a couple of questions in this zone. The first one being, what was the 2007 Vidya Balan like? And what is the 2024 Vidya Balan like? If the two of them had to speak to each other, what advice would they give each other?
I think The 2024 Vidya Balan is younger, happier,
Lovely.
lighter here.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I think I joined films at the age of 26. So I felt like I had joined late. I felt like I had catching up to do. So I was working a lot. And I felt like I had to prove myself. There were those pressures. And plus, when you're younger, you're anyway not sure of who you are. But today, I know who I am and I'm very happy with myself.
Yeah.
So that makes a huge difference. And that, I think, percolates into all other areas of your life, or into your life per se,
100%.
the way you feel about yourself. So I think it's a very different me. I would have just asked the younger me to take a chill pill.
But that's always hindsight, right? I
Yeah,
think
yeah.
that what you did that time, if you hadn't done a Bhool Bhulaiyaa in
Yeah.
2007, if you hadn't been manic at that point,
Yeah.
we wouldn't be sitting here in 2024.
Yeah, absolutely. Not that I regret
Yes.
any of it, but at a personal level, you look back and you say, oh my God, what was I so worried about? It was all going to work out. But you are right. If not for that, then we wouldn't be here.
Yeah. And that dance sequence, my God, I mean, there could have been no way to up it. Like, there couldn't have been any way to up it. It was so iconic. I
Thank
think
you.
even now on Durga Ashtami, there are memes of you as 2007 Manjulika.
Yeah.
When you knew you were going to do this all over again, did you also know that you had to do something differently or you have to up that?
No, so
खुद ही standard high set कर लिया.
No, I was actually a bit concerned कि इसमें क्या नया करेंगे. Because also now that you watch the film, it doesn't allow for that kind of madness. So I was like, what can we do to up it? And it was supposed to have been picturized only on me. Then Madhuri ma'am said yes to the other role, and that's when they came up with the idea. I knew it. I knew they were going to throw this at me. And I kept waiting. They didn't for a while. So I said, oh, maybe they don't. They're okay with. Because I knew that if they ask me to dance with her, I'm going to need time. And they did ask me just before I started promotions for Do Aur Do Pyaar. And I was like, hello, guys, what am I going to do? Push the shoot? And they said, no, the shoot can't be pushed because, we have VFX that's required. It was a massive set, right? It was a 200-year-old palace. And it's a VFX heavy film. So our schedule cannot be moved, is immovable. I was like, what do I do? So along with promoting Do Aur Do Pyaar, which I was, which Pratik and I were promoting
Which we
largely.
met for.
Yeah,
And we
exactly.
had a blast.
Yeah, exactly. We were doing a lot in those 2 weeks and I would go back and rehearse.
Oh my God.
And I would go to my parents' house. They have one big hall. We had mirrors put up there. And I would rehearse with Chinny Master's assistant who would come down from Bangalore, Monisha. But there were days when I was so exhausted.
Yeah.
I cannot begin to tell you.
Yeah.
I'd be like, I remember one particular night when I promoted and then I rehearsed and I went home. And I sat down on the bed after a shower and I said, okay, maybe I should go out and tell Siddharth. He was watching TV. I said, maybe I should go out and tell him that I'm going off to bed. I said, okay, let me lie down for 5 minutes and then I'll go. I was out for 8 hours.
I have a theory. I, at that point, remember saying that this Milan of you and Madhuri, I wanted it as a fan to happen after Ishqiya.
Yeah.
Because it's Krishna, I think again, when I rewatch Bhool Bhulaiyaa, I rewatched Ishqiya.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because we love the movies and we love you, right? And whenever I see you, I just feel like, wow, man, like, what a role. At about a time that there were these beautiful roles written for us, and that you got to play them. I thought that you and Madhuri would come together earlier. Did you always want that as well?
No, I'd never imagined it.
Really?
Yeah, because I don't get offered films with
Another woman?
Yeah, other women. I've barely gotten offered any. I think Mission Mangal and this one. So when this happened, it was like, wow, she's the reason I wanted to be an actor. When I saw Ek Do Teen, I was like, mujhe Madhuri Dixit banna hai. And then here I am. And then I'm having to dance with her. Oh my God. I remember on the first day of shoot for Bhool Bhulaiyaa, which was another song that we were doing. It was a tug of war sequence between Madhuri and me. And my sister called me and said, how was it? I said, it's not yet happened. It's not yet started.
Oh my God.
Yeah. And then when we did the song, she was just amazing.
Yeah.
I have to say, she's, you know, I I've loved her, but now I think I just like her so much.
Yeah.
You know, and I think it's very difficult to like people.
Oh, wow. Yeah, that's so
Especially
true.
after you know, sometimes you look up to someone, but you work with them and they don't live up to that. But Madhuri far superseded that.
Amazing. And
Yeah.
to be dancing. And, you know, we were so confused in the theatre. I remember watching it the day it released in the morning show. It was houseful, and that we know, the success of it, everybody knows. But I remember us as an audience looking at the theatre saying, Kahan, kisko dekhe? Oh man, like what a glorious moment, which is yours forever. And I think that with your roles, you constantly do that. Even that, you know, you had a beautiful photo shoot recently. Oh my God, like, you know, you becoming a person. Every time you become someone else, and you've done it with Shakuntala Devi, you did it, of course, with Mami recently. I just love the fact that you're able to, you know, lose yourself, and that's so wonderful.
Thank you.
There was that moment at Opera House where, again, it's you, the person, which I had to talk about. Oh man, like you, the comeback is what Amma and I talked about, okay?
Right.
Because of course, for us, you'll always be Vidhu, right? Like, Bhatia, oh my God. In a second, she got up. Oh my God. And you didn't care about it after that. That's what we're taught. And I think that is where the performer in you comes in from. Did you ever take a moment to think of that moment at all?
No. You know, because we, you know, post that performance, we spoke a little, then we redid the song, Madhuri Ma'am and me. And then it was like everyone was meeting each other because the entire team came up on stage, and then we were meeting all those who had come to watch the song. I got into my car and I realized what had happened, and I was like, I called Siddharth and I said, Siddharth, do you know what happened? He said, how did it go? I said, I fell on stage. And he was like, really? I said, it hadn't sunk in until then, because I think the show must go on. So, you know, I don't even think it was, I don't know what I was, people keep
instinct.
asking me, what were you thinking? What did you feel? I was like, nothing. Until I got into the car, I just had to keep going.
Wow.
And I just realized that the first person I heard saying the show must go on was Raj Kapoor Saab, when I think I may have been 7 when he passed away.
Yeah.
I'm not sure. 5
Yeah,
or...
we were very young.
Yeah, very young.
Yeah.
I didn't know who Raj Kapoor was. But I remember on Doordarshan, they were telecasting all his films for a week or so. And my father was sitting and watching them. And I would sit and watch those films with him. And I fell in love with Raj Kapoor. And I just felt like, oh, wow. And then they also showed an interview of his where he said this. He said the show must go on. And that's the first time I heard it. And when people started asking me, so, you know, what really prompted you to just get up? And that's the first thing that popped into my head.
You know, that moment was actually celebrated by so many people
Yeah.
who shared it, saying that, look at that. And I think that in that moment, I realized that that's who you always have been. Like, you know, there have been times which today, of course, success interview, yeah, guys. And I'm great. Congratulations.
Thank you.
But what I love most about people when I do this job is that when I see them in success, or not perhaps success, they are the same. Okay. Do you feel you're able to maintain that about yourself? Or is it something that you're better at now?
No, I think largely I've been able to maintain that. But of course, when you go through failure, sometimes it hits very hard because you've put in a lot and you feel like you feel rejected. You feel unloved when people don't go to the theatre to watch your film. But with experience, with maturity, I definitely think it's getting easier because you don't take it that personally. I've also begun to now realize that it's not about, you know, being unloved. It's more about हर फिल्म की किस्मत होती है.
बिल्कुल, absolutely.
You know, because it's the energies of so many people that come together, and sometimes they don't align despite the best intentions.
True.
And when they align, you have a Bhool Bhulaiyaa 3.
Absolutely.
You know, so it's I think sometimes it's really simple.
And there is, of course, the question of a commercial success. God knows. It's not just you, Vidya. All of us want the movies to do well.
Yeah, of
You know,
course.
and every movie. Because I just think that we've gone into a crazy place of self-doubt. As an industry, we don't know after the pandemic what will work, what
Yeah.
will get people into theatres. And I think as actors, even more, because you don't know what to pick just on the
Yeah.
basis of the script.
Yeah.
Now it's about ki kitna kama sakti hai, yeah, is it viable?
Yeah.
And also because we're sitting in Siddharth's office, by the way. He's one of the biggest producers, I think one of the most intelligent producers of our time, I would say. Do you really think of this before, you're making your next movie? Does this play a huge part in your picking a film right now?
Commercial viability
Yeah.
always has. But, I have to say that because finally it is a business of cinema. You're hoping that when you put something out there that people are going to consume it, are going to enjoy it, and there are going to be rewards, monetary rewards, so that you can make your next.
Correct.
Now, of course, I'm a producer's wife, so I'm also speaking this language, but I've understood this better now. But I've always wanted my producers to make money.
Yeah.
And I understand the business better now. I also think in between we went through a golden phase where all kinds of content were doing well theatrically. That's not the case at the moment. That doesn't mean that's never going to happen again. But we are going through a period of flux. So we have to accept that and say, okay, so we calibrate, what we put out in the theaters. We decide what to put on OTT. And it's great that we have that option today. So we are still able to tell all kinds of stories, but you just decide where and how you want to release it.
The stories go.
Yeah, you just become smarter. But I think viability, commercial viability is extremely crucial.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
Because we have to get money back into the business.
Absolutely.
And otherwise I always say this, sometimes I watch something indulgent and I feel like, why didn't you make a home video? Yeah, don't waste someone's money.
Correct. Absolutely. Have you rewatched Kahani at all?
I think a while ago, I rewatched Kahani. It's been a while.
Yeah, because I rewatch movies all the time.
Yeah.
It's my best friend. So I rewatched it a couple of weeks ago and I just realized that it was such a great film. Okay, it was such a great film. I just had to tell you this today.
Thank you.
I could text you about it, but no.
No, and it's been 12 years and it still gets counted as one of the best thrillers yet. And that's saying a lot. And that's Sujoy Ghosh for you, honestly. I remember I kept telling him, I said, you're such an intelligent man. I want to see that on paper. So the first script he brought to me was Kahani. And I could see Sujoy Ghosh written all over it.
When you're shooting a film, and for the ones that did work commercially, do you know when you're shooting it that ye hit hogi ya nahi? Ever?
Sometimes you get a feeling that
This is going to be good.
it will work, but I find it very difficult to distinguish between feeling and hope. So I don't know whether it's a feeling or it's hope, but I think, like with Bhool Bhulaiyaa 3, I had a feeling that it would do well, yeah. And I hear that Anees Bhai also felt.
Yeah.
Yeah, someone told me there was an interview of his where he said, मुझे पता था कि अच्छा करेगी. मुझे भी एक sense था कि कुछ सही हो रहा है यहाँ.
Amazing. And what is the toughest thing for you while you were shooting Bhool Bhulaiyaa 3? Was it pretending that you don't know anything because you know everything? That scene when you and Madhuri are sitting together, kind of like whispering into each other's ears. And I love the sound design of that scene. I love it that people walk into that scene, but you guys are not aware of it. Talk to me about creating that scene because I really want to know about that.
When I read it on paper, I hadn't imagined it like this. But when we went on set that day, they had this little room because, they wanted Karthik to walk a bit before they reached that space and then to open that door. And space also changes the way you feel a scene.
100%.
It dictates that actually. So suddenly I think there was a certain, for lack of a better word, there's a certain kink to that scene. There's a certain something to that scene which is...
Yeah, it's a bit off.
Yeah. Which is what is so amazing about it. But that's Anees Bazmee for you. I keep telling people that I've learned so much from him. He has a bound script, but he's constantly looking to better a moment, a scene, to make it more engaging and entertaining, which is why I feel he's a king of entertainment.
100%.
You can watch his films, rewatch his films, and just they're de-stressors.
Yeah,
You know?
yeah.
And yet, I'd say that Bhool Bhulaiyaa 3 is different from the films he's done before.
Yes, it is.
It's the kind of film that you can sit and watch with your family. You know, kids are loving it. That's Anees Bhai for you. Even this scene, it wasn't part of the plan to shoot it like this, but the previous day, you know, or a couple of days before we shot it, he felt he needed this space.
Space, yeah, to enclose the two of them,
Yeah.
and for us to come and look
Yeah,
in.
yeah.
It's almost like the two of them belong to another world.
Yeah, yeah,
and
yeah.
we're peering in. Oh man, I could keep talking, but we must go on to our next segment, which is of course towards the close of our chat. This one's, I always love doing this with you because, you know, with Vidya Balan, there is no confessions because she's very honest. It's a segment called Confessions with Vidya
Okay.
Balan. Who's the one actor you secretly had a crush on but never told really because you know we are shy?
Oh God.
Like, did you ever get to tell Shah Rukh?
No, but I think he knows. और फिर तो मुझे मेरा ही SRK मिल गया.
Exactly. Anybody?
No, not besides him.
One actor you wished you worked with?
Ranbir Kapoor. I love him as an actor.
So you wish you work with?
Yeah.
Abibi.
Yeah,
How
yeah.
lovely. How lovely. Which movie do you think that you put in the most hard work and effort into? And yes, it is a contest. Because you will say every film. but
Yeah.
Yeah.
The Dirty Picture is probably the hardest I've worked.
I would say, and it paid off. Yeah.
Yeah. And how?
One thing about the industry that still drives you absolutely crazy and you cannot stand it.
When people come late, I just can't bear it. I'm a stickler for time and I'm like, I have to be really patient and, you know, yeah,
Yeah, then you
it
just...
gets to me.
Then you make reels.
Yeah, exactly.
What is the most ridiculous costume you've ever had to wear or that you hated? Like, it need not be something outlandish. It could be something very regular, but sari ka zari bahut tough tha hamare haathon par. You know what I'm saying?
No, I'll tell you what. I had a light blue kurta in Hamari Adhuri Kahani and I don't wear that color. And Mohit made me wear it and it was the longest continuity. I used to look at him and say, why can't you make me wear red or maroon or something? But he was stuck up, you know, he was hung up, on that light blue. And I was like, I don't like myself in light blue. And I had to wear it for so many scenes. I remember that one costume and be like, Acha, aaj bhi?
And people are wondering, isme kya problem hai?
Yeah. And everyone would say, oh, it's such a pretty kurta. The color looks so good on you. And I'd be like, no, it doesn't.
No, it doesn't. Yeah, I
It's
know what
just
you're
a
saying.
mental thing, you know.
Ever accidentally liked a post while stalking someone's Instagram?
I don't stalk anyone's.
It's off your phone also, no? I
Huh?
remember you said once that your Instagram
Yeah,
is not...
not on my phone anymore. So if you send me a link, I'll be able to open it, but I don't have the app on my phone. So I don't stalk anyone. I honestly don't find anyone
Stalkable.
consistently interesting.
Love it. Did you ever watch yourself on screen and say, I could have done that better?
Oh, lots of times.
Really? Oh no! Oh
Yeah,
no.
lots of times.
हमारी नजरों से देखो अपने आप को विद्या बालन ऐसा कभी होता ही नहीं है. All right, I do want to say that it's such a pleasure to talk to you about the movies because for someone who was very excited to watch you on Hum Panch, we know the journey.
Yeah,
we know
yeah.
that it's, and also the music videos. I just think it's a different vintage of fan, which I think we are. So for all the OG Vidya Balan fans, this is like literally the chat that I've been dying to do this year. And I'm so happy that you made time for us.
Thank you.
I hope, can you tell us where we'll see you next or?
I wish I knew.
What?
I don't know. I haven't decided yet. Yeah,
Okay.
I take my time to decide. Also because this year has been crazily busy. And then nothing's really caught my fancy. But I'm on the verge of deciding. Through most of the year, you'll catch me on the verge of deciding what to do.
I do hope for the fans who watch that photo shoot, the MS Subbulakshmi film actually happens. Maybe we'll only make it happen. I don't know how, but it was stunning. It was just stunning.
Thank you.
And I'm looking forward to that. Thank you so much for making time and speaking
Thank
with me.
you. Absolute pleasure as always. Hi, मैं हूँ Vidya Balan and I'm with Rotalks. Please do subscribe to her channel.